Hello and welcome. This is Super Evolution. We see Ming He and he calls the flies a servant rank. He then punches them, which splits them in half. He says that it doesn't matter how many of them come at him since he will kill all of them. More of the flies start to rush over at Ming He, but he continues to throw punches at them. He kills them all and he starts to use his swift shadow fist. The flies notice what Ming He is doing, so they start to charge at him, but Ming He then throws a punch down to the ground. That punch caused them to get killed and rocks get sent flying everywhere. Ming He then lifts up his fist from the ground and we see more of them coming. Ming He questions if he poked a fly nest. Luo Lin tells him that he most likely won't be able to kill every single one of them. He then asked what he should do since it seems they could sniff out the scent of his body. No matter what, they will keep coming for him and we see a crap ton of flies coming at him. Luo Lin tells him that she's been observing how the insects appear. The flies are all coming from a certain place. She tells him that there seems to be a den in the south of him. All of the flies are coming from there. Ming He tells her that there are already more than a dozen insects where he is at. He asked if there are hundreds of insects in that cave. She tells him no, since the map only shows a few dozen red dots. She says there is like an insect factory near him that keeps producing flies instantly. She says that once he kills one of the flies in the front, the factory produces another batch. Ming He asked how come it happens in such a short time since he's been killing a ton of them. He asked how long it would take for the flies to fill up the entire valley if he wasn't here. She tells him that if the army of flies formed, not only will a lot of people die, but the whole valley will be eaten up and destroyed. She says that she underestimated them and the calamity beast isn't that simple. She tells him that the valley is their gathering point. She will leave protecting the valley to him since the other instructors are facing similar danger, so she will have to guide them. He tells her to leave it to him as he is still killing the flies. She tells him that although he is a member of Dragon Tooth, he is still a student. He is taking heavy responsibility as an official representative and she tells him that she is sorry. She calls him exceptionally outstanding and she tells him to tell her that he will survive. While he is still fighting, he tells her that the instructors and her are staying back for them and they have his gratitude. He then rushes in a herd of flies and he is starting to kill them all. Ming He stopped and he saw a weird looking portal thing. He says that this should be what Luo Lin said, which is the insect factory. Ming He sees some of the flies start to come out the portal. Ming He says stifle the wind and he learned this move from his old classmate Fan Kai. He then takes a step and tells all the insects to die. He throws a wind punch at the insects which causes them to hit the wall and die. He managed to kill the ones that came out the portal. He starts to walk to the portal as the flies fall from the sky. He is standing in front of the portal and he puts half of his body inside. He then moves back and questions if this portal is a passage to another dimension. A fly comes out the portal and Ming He says that he got it. The fly comes back around to Ming He, but he easily sliced it in half. He says that this portal isn't an insect factory and it's an unknown portal that leads to the mist. He thinks that those strange monsters most likely used the portal to appear here. He starts to wonder what's inside and then questions what's on the other side of this wormhole. He then walks in the portal. Ming He crosses the portal and it looks like he is in a cave. Ming He looks worried and he sees floating rocks with spider mutants on them. Then a dragon comes out of nowhere and eats one of the spider mutants. The dragon appears to be a fire one and then it flies off. The dragon looks down and sees a large looking dragon which is over Ming He. By the way, just to keep it a buck with you guys, I really don't know if that's a dragon, but I'm just gonna assume it is and we're gonna roll with it, so it's all good. Some of the rocks start to slip off and fall to the ground because of the dragon. We then see a large group of flies and they notice Ming He. The goddess starts to get worried and asks Ming He if he is crazy. She asked him how he even ended up there and he needs to leave right now. Ming He questions the place, but the goddess tells him to leave before he dies miserably. Ming He then snaps back to reality and starts to dip out of there. He is running while the flies are starting to chase after him. The goddess tells him to hurry and she will shatter the wormhole. So she starts to use her powers and Ming He made it out the wormhole, which starts to close because of the goddess. We then switch over to Fang Chen and we see the calamity beast that Ming He almost killed at the train is now back. The monster tells Fang that they will combine, which they start doing. We then switch over to the group and one of the guys question where they should go since of this fog. Another guy noticed something coming out the fog. They then see Fang Chen and they start getting excited to see her. One of the guys say that they are finally saved and tells Fang that they encountered a lot of monsters and they tried to run over there to escape. The guys asked why Fang is so quiet. We then see Fang with sharp teeth and she starts to launch at the guy. She bites the guy and he falls to the floor while bleeding out. The others in the group say that she isn't the instructor and they ask for help. The monster starts to launch her tentacles at the group, which captures a couple of them. We switch over and we see two people running, which one of them trips. The girl that was in front sees Jing on the floor and she goes over to her and tells her to get up. Jing tells the girl that her leg and she doesn't think she will make it as the other girl lifts her up and starts to walk. A couple of tentacles come out of nowhere and grab the girls. The monster pulls them both in while she is starting to smile. We see both the girls crying and we then see the monster walking away without either of them. We switch over to a camp where Luo Lin is at and we see a guy going in the tent. Luo Lin starts to question if Fang Qin is there and tells her to please answer her. She asks if Fang is injured and why she can't speak. Luo Lin tells her to continue moving forward so she will meet up with Ming He and he should be able to help her. The girl next to her asked if Fang Qin is dead since her blue dot disappeared. When the dot disappears, that means the host vital signs disappeared and she questions if the device malfunctioned. Luo Lin tells the girl that she doesn't know, but Fang Qin is a member of their team and if she is alive, they can't abandon her. She does think something is fishy since the chances of the device malfunctioning are low in her experience. The girl says that that's impossible and how could something be in the fog? The commander says that it's best to be on the safe side and she will tell Ming He to act with caution. She then sees Ming He's marker disappear and questions how could that be possible. The lady asked Luo Lin if Ming He is dead. She then sees the marker come back up and she tries to tell Ming He to respond. The lady tells her that the device is displaying communication interference. She says that something might be interfering with the communication channels. Luo Lin says that it's not working at a time like this. They then hear a person running in and calling their name. The person told them that Fang Chen killed their classmates and we see the instructor nodding in agreement. Luo Lin then gets worried and calls Ming He's name. She tells him to please respond and the person that is heading towards him isn't Fang Chen. She is being controlled by something and she tells him again and asked him if he could hear her. She says that the thing approaching him is dangerous. We see Ming He sitting down on the dirt. The goddess tells him that he is lucky that he woke up in time. If he took any longer, his soul would have been gone. She tells him the world he was in is filled with the unknown and it's something that a human should never see. Ming He tells her that it felt like he was looking into hell and he was also very careless. She tells him to cheer up now since he is fine and once he is strong enough, he will be able to walk through those places like nothing. He then takes a deep breath and says, okay. He admits that he was a little scared, but that won't stop him. He then touches his communicator and says that his rash decision made his device break. We then see Fang Chen behind Ming He. He noticed her and calls her name. He says that it's a good thing that she didn't die. Fang then tells Ming He that she is injured and to help her. He says okay and then sees her eyes. He questioned what happened since they're dripping blood. She starts to wipe her eyes and tells him that it's just an injury. She then asked if he could carry her since she has no strength left to move. Ming He then looks at her shoes and questions why they aren't wet. He tells her that in order to get to where he is, she would need to cross the river. With her current condition she is in, it would have been hard for her to cross the river without getting wet. He then sees Fang starting to attack, but Ming He managed to jump back. He says that sure enough, something was wrong. The mutated monster starts to shed half of Fang's skin and we see the ugly looking Medusa monster. He remembers that it was the same monster that was on the train that day. He understands that it can swallow and absorb the bodies of the people she captured. It did it back then with the train attendant's appearance and blended in with the people on the train. He says that the real Fang Chin has already died and this monster swallowed Fang's corpse then turned into her. He calls it a sinister monster and it could do a good job at disguising herself. If he hadn't seen the blood-red eyes, he most likely wouldn't have been on guard. The monster tells him that his instructor tasted sweet. Ming He thinks to himself that she is using Fang Chin's voice and questions if it could also emulate a person's voice. He then calls it a bastard and tells her that he won't forgive her. She says that's her line while sending her whip-like hairs at him. She calls him a filthy human while Ming He dodges the attack. She remembers that he defiled her before and this time she will devour him whole. Ming He continues to dodge the attacks and he says that her patterns are like the tree demons in the training room. He said that it's a good thing he kept up with his training. He is thinking about finding a gap between its attacks and then trying to counterattack. He then jumps up on a tree and thinks of finding a medium first for his mystic fist. He knows that an ordinary fist technique won't be able to kill it. The monster's hairs start to grow longer and turns a black color. She says that it's thanks to his instructor that she has gotten stronger. She throws an attack at him which broke the tree he was on. Ming He lands on a rock, but the monster is still attacking while Ming He continues to dodge. The monster says that she will become even stronger while sending another whip-like attack at Ming He. He managed to dodge the attack and she tells him to take this and also saying stronger. Ming He then grabs some dirt and uses his mystic art. The monster starts to launch over at him, but Ming He throws a flying bubbly attack at the monster which made her get sent flying back. He says that his mystic fist medium wasn't thick enough and he won't be able to kill it. The monster questions if that's all Ming He got. She then launches over at him again while telling him that his instructor will be disappointed. Ming He uses both of his hands and puts them on the dirt. He uses the dirt to cover his arms to block the attack from the monster. She continues to throw attacks while Ming He is blocking them. She says that the way humans fight is so predictable. She then uses one of Fang's attacks. She also managed to predict what Ming He was going to do, which was retreat from the attack. She managed to guess right, and while he retreated, she had another attack waiting for him. Luckily, he saw it in time and slid enough to avoid a fatal blow from the attack. She calls him lucky since he dodged all of that while she retracted her attack with Ming He's blood on it. She licks the blood and calls it robust and he will be much tastier than Fang. He tells her that she makes him feel sick. He thinks about the amount of blows he landed on her, which was only 13 times. He still needs around 49 fist marks and he won't be able to use his ultimate soul art just yet. He also thinks about how the monster predicted his movements. He is thinking about keeping his distance since it will be dangerous up close, and if he didn't have his luck power, the last attack would have pierced through his stomach. He says that his luck can't keep saving him and then gets into a fighting stance. He thinks about finding a medium for his mystic fist because ordinary dirt won't work. The monster has one of her attacks digging under the dirt, which then gets sent at Ming He. Thank you all for watching and I hope you all enjoyed this video.